The honor system of Washington and Lee is based on the fundamental principle that a spirit of trust pervades all aspects of student life. Students enjoy unparalleled academic and social freedom. Robert E. Lee established the positive, though unwritten, rule that students are to accept responsibility for their own conduct. It has become known as the honor system. Our system is not a compilation of student regulations. Rather, it is in essence one of mutual trust. Trust among students, faculty, administrators, and the townspeople that students will conduct themselves honorably at all times, whether on or off campus. But what constitutes a breach of honor? The meaning of honorable behavior has evolved over the years, and it is evolving all the time. It's always under scrutiny. We're always questioning it. We talk about it. What is an honor violation, and what isn't? Is it an honor violation to use a fake ID? Is taking a road sign back to a fraternity house an honor violation or a prank? No violation of trust is more serious than another, nor too small to be ignored. Thus, dismissal from the university is the only appropriate sanction for an honor violation.
Before we get started this morning, let me remind you of something you already perfectly well know. That is, your first essays are due tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Please place your papers in my mailbox. I will be away. Remember, this is all your own work. Don't forget the footnotes, footnote ideas as well as direct quotations. Don't forget the bibliography. I'll get them back to you just as quickly as I can.
The university has, since its inception, been dedicated primarily to providing its students with a broad education in the liberal arts. Through the study of the time-honored disciplines of history, literature, languages, and philosophy, and of political science and government, the student gains breadth of knowledge and maturity of outlook.
Hey, what's up? Thanks. I have a question.
Departmental libraries on the Washington and Lee campus are unattended, and students are free to handle the volumes as they choose. In the Central University Library, where these stacks are located, the honor system is in constant operation.
Hey, Claire. Nothing. I'm just cranking out a history paper from Merchant.
What's on?
The Emancipation Proclamation and Abraham Lincoln. Pretty fun stuff.
Sounds like it. When's it due?
Tomorrow, unfortunately, but whatever. It's not a big deal.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
This conception of American democracy is emphasized in all the life of the university. Developed in practical reality, one of the keenest democratic traditions maintained by Washington and Lee men is their honor system.
Oh. This is very odd. That's what I was afraid of. Hello, is this the president of the executive committee? Yes, this is Professor Holt Merchant.
Upon a report of a possible honor violation from a member of the community, whether that be a Washington and Lee professor, student, or a local townsperson, the president of the executive committee will dispatch an investigation team. This team is composed of 3 students, an EC member who serves as lead investigator, an honor advocate, and a member of the student body at large. Once assigned to the case, the team will interview all people relevant to the case and write and compile a report to present to the entire EC. The identity of those interviewed and investigated remains strictly confidential in the investigation report process. Upon completion of the interview process, the 3 members of the investigation team submit their report to the full EC.
After our interview with Professor Merchant, I feel pretty strongly that this should go to a closed hearing. There was a substantial amount of evidence that this paper may have been plagiarized.
I agree. Based on what we found in our investigation, I definitely think that this should go to a closed hearing.
I agree with what the 2 said. I think from the evidence that we have here that this should go closed.
Are there any more questions for the investigation team? Okay, well, thank you so much for all your help on the case. At this point, I think we'll go ahead and go into executive session and vote whether it should go closed or not.
I think the evidence speaks for itself. The paper is way too close to the online essay that we saw. I think it should go closed.
I agree. The evidence suggests that he plagiarized the paper. I think we should go closed.
I definitely agree with everything that's been said, and I think the evidence demands that we go to a closed hearing.
I move to charge the student as follows. Information has come to the executive committee indicating that you may have committed an honor violation and that you may have plagiarized your History 245 Civil War paper.
At this point, why don't we go ahead and take a formal vote on going closed. All those in favor of going closed, please raise your hand. All those opposed and voting not closed, please raise your hand. All right, the motion passes. We are going closed.
Ted Elliott, information has come to the executive committee indicating that you may have committed an honor violation.
The president of the executive committee will notify the accused student at least 48 hours before the hearing and schedule a meeting to read his charge. At that time, the president will inform the student of his rights, tell him the time of his hearing, and answer any of the accused student's questions.
And through that process, you'll have an opportunity to present your side of the story. Here's a copy of the investigation report that the EC saw before they decided to go closed. Here's a copy of the EC's witnesses that they'll be calling during the hearing. And if you don't have any questions at this point, if you could just go ahead and sign this charge right here and date it.
After the accused student is charged, the accused will meet 2 honor advocates. These honor advocates are 2 fellow students who serve as guides up to and during the hearing.
They'll be able to assist you throughout the process, be able to answer any questions that you might have before the hearing starts.
No business here is quite so significant as that of the Student Executive Committee, charged with enforcement of the Honor Code. Its is no star chamber procedure, but only the fulfillment of an obligation to that overwhelming campus sentiment in favor of rigid enforcement of a code of honor upon which is based one of the university's grandest and oldest traditions, that a gentleman does not lie, does not cheat, does not steal.
Ted Elliott. Information has come before the executive committee indicating that you may have committed an honor violation and that you may have plagiarized an essay in your History 245 class by copying internet sources directly and without attribution, suggesting that it was your own work.
Professor Merchant, could you walk us through the situation, perhaps starting with what drew your attention to the fact that this paper may have been plagiarized?
I teach a history course on the Civil War. And
honor advocates have an opportunity to question EC witnesses, and after the EC has brought in all of its witnesses, the accused can bring in his or her own witnesses. These often include character witnesses, professors, and the accused student. After all witnesses have been called, the EC will go into closed executive session for deliberation and a vote on the guilt or innocence of the accused. To find a student guilty, 2/3 of the EC must vote guilty, and all reasonable doubt must be resolved in favor of the accused.
Based on all the evidence, I really think that the student copied the information from the internet, and I'm leaning towards voting guilty.
The evidence is really clear. The student definitely copied the content off of the internet and put it into his paper. I'm definitely leaning voting guilty.
Ted Elliott. The executive committee of the student body finds you guilty of an honor violation. This hearing is adjourned.
Personalizing in his own life and character the honor system and fixing its standards for future generations of students was Robert E. Lee, buried here in Lee Chapel on the campus in the family crypt beneath the famed Valentine recumbent statue.
The honor system is administered exclusively by students and is in no way responsible to the faculty or the administration. The continued success of our honor system rests squarely on the shoulders of every student. We do not think it is too much to ask that students do their own work, represent themselves truthfully, and claim only that which is their own. Your word will be taken as the truth. The system is not structured to work against students, nor is it designed to frighten honest students. Rather, since its inception, the honor system has fostered a sense of community and trust that continues to enhance the lives of W&L students during their enrollment at Washington and Lee and in their later personal and professional lives. Men and women at Washington and Lee must realize that our commitment to the principle of honor is firm. Membership in our student body signifies your commitment to an honor system under which ignorance is no excuse. If you believe that you cannot act honorably or you are indifferent, Washington and Lee is not the school for you. If you think you can join us in upholding this principle, we welcome you to become part of our community.